Hey guys, Anthony with Austin Historical Weapons Guild here with Joshua. Today we're talking about Fabris Plate 34. In Plate 34, Fabris continues his ideas of kind of counter girata work. This time we're seeing a move of second below the sword against a fourth. Okay. So the first plays, a couple things to kind of keep in mind as we do these. In particular, these are definitely very direct, very abrupt, very hard motions. We see some super low, super flexible positions. So a few things to keep in mind is that as you're dropping this position, you really make sure you're getting as low and flat as you can. A good guideline is, if you look at the pictures, you want your ribs kind of below your thighs there, nice flat back, up in motions, keeping objects safe. With that said, if you're moving offline properly like we should be, if you are doing this in tempos that are realistic, the girata kind of falls victim to the same thing that the girata exploits to work. So what I mean by that is the girata works if we look at the girata, right? So I give Joshua an opening to this side. This works because as he goes to your kind of up. If I give Joshua the opening to this side, this works because I avoid where his attack is. The problem with my girata, and the same issue he runs into, is I've committed to this motion super early. And I can only attack in this general area where Joshua is standing. If he moves inside, if he drops himself very quickly, it's going to be very hard for those strikes to come in to be effective. At a slower speed, at drilling tempos, as you're learning this, it'll feel really dumb because you're like, well, yeah, I can, of course, really turn this sword upside down and do this motion. But if you go back to our girata work, and we emphasize, like, do this slow, do this safe, when you're coming through the girata, you're coming in with a thrust, with an angle. You don't really get to go through halfway. You're like, wait, I really want to point this lower off the left side more. So as you're going through these, as you're practicing these, keep that in mind. That isn't to say don't practice getting low, but if you're getting kind of stuck, something like this, at 10 or 15 degrees, realistically, you're probably going to be okay. Obviously, strive for that flat back, strive for getting your chest, between your legs as you practice these. But in a sparring situation, in a fight situation, as long as you get as low as you can and really practice that, it'll probably be okay, even if you're up higher than the pictures show. So, their goals, their ideals, they're not the only way it works. So starting off, we start off, I'm off in third, and he goes to find my sword to the outside. So it's important to note intention here, because he says cavazione and do its own thing, but this should be remnant to know other places in the past. I don't want cavazione to come up to do this thing, because this isn't a useful motion, right? So drill's not going to start like that. As he goes to find my sword, I'm just going to drop down low, take these lower openings. This is where this play starts up, and this is what makes this play work out a whole lot easier, a whole lot smoother. Other thing, I know I emphasize this a lot, with your cavazione, we should be moving forward. Especially with this one, like all our attacks, we're stepping off to the left. As we drive through, we're changing our angles, changing our lines. Something we see a lot in Fabris' footwork, but something he doesn't mention explicitly very often. So I'm in third. Joshua goes to find my sword. Cavazione, stepping through, moving underneath. Normal life, if he does this, I'm in trouble. Right? This is what Joshua wants to happen. However, as I'm making my cavazione, I see him move. I'm going to quickly drop as low as I can. This roll in a second helps bring my point online from being third out here. Second, nicely turns this back in, lets me stack in. So again, nice and slow. I'm in third. Cavazione, fall under, catch a sword, and just try to tilt if you can. That is extra credit, as always. So I'm in third. Cavazione, falling underneath, getting nice and flat, nice and low as you work on these. So one more time, coming up, Cavazione, and dropping. So a little more speed, a little more excitement, so you guys can really see how this should build up, how this should play out. Third, cavazione and drop. You notice as I'm doing this at speed that this step almost immediately becomes kind of fall. I no longer plant my foot like I would if I was doing a normal step here. I'll probably kick it out another couple inches, really just collapse this leg, let myself drop this nice low flat back position, at least as much as I can. Moving to the next play. It's going to be starting off with, I am moving to find his sword at the outside and fourth, so Joshua's up, and I'm moving up into fourth to find his sword, right? So again, this only works as I'm doing this in motion. If I get to this point where my sword is found his and he tries to do his girata or get me out, I have much easier, safer, friendlier options that I can explore to do this. So as you're drilling, obviously going slow, we're wearing proper gear, even though we're not. As I'm coming up, I need to be in motion to make this work. Right? This is what job needs to happen. Because if my point's online, I can start dealing with his attacks. So, however, all I do is I'll let my sword raise up, turn through, and again, get that nice low drop position here before. Check our distance. So I know it's fine. I just turn out and drop, getting nice and low, slightly skewering and dropping the ribs. So the difference between this one and the previous one is obviously I'm not in motion while I'm making this girata. So the first play we talked about today, I'm kind of stepping across and kind of redoubling my step, redoubling the intention, reacting to what he's doing. With this play, I'm nicely static, and this is why I'm able to react here. Because if my feet were in motion, if I was in mid-step, as I found his sword, I wouldn't be able to change that motion and get stabbed by the girata. But because I'm static, or I'm moving up in those slow steps Fabris talks about, finding that distance, as I'm going to come up, able to turn this drop out, really getting low, really getting myself safe, really getting myself protected and covered. Last thing I found while working with this, while playing with this, is that I feel much safer, not only starting the right distance, making sure we're fully in that long distance that Fabris talks about, but once my hand is static here, if I'm reacting to him moving, this is a much more terrifying position to like drop my face into this sword. And it's maybe purely psychosomatic, I have no idea. But I find that if my hand is moving up, it's much easier. I can just keep this hand moving up. It's not a great reaction. I don't get the wound I want, but I'm way less sick. So knowing that that leverage, that motion's happening, my hand's already in motion to keep myself safe, I find it super reassuring, super comforting to, as I move up, say, oh, I just dropped this out. And I can kind of use my cross, use my cup to sweep him up out of the way as I make that attack. So one last time, as I'm coming up and forth, really just playing that, dropping that through, moving through there. So if there's any thoughts or questions on these guys, again, doing these definitely works slow. Obviously, safety gear is always important, but nice jackets or flashings or something. Otherwise, you get some nice bruises on your ribs from working these. But questions, comments, feel free, email, Facebook, YouTube, however else you want to give me a message. I'm more than happy to respond or chat on these. Otherwise, as always, thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.